All my cash for tomorrow, that's where they gon' stay. I'm living in the moment, cause I got enough bread for today.
Welcome to your Bread for Today podcast. I'm your host, Tonisha Russell, and your bread for today is just to try something new. So as you can see me. And so this is just me trying to usher in a new thing, right? Try a new medium, try something new. We're going to talk about a lot of different things in terms of what it means to try something new, but this is one of the ways in which I'm trying to embody that. Typically around this time, I would do like a celebrate, recalibrate episode, but 2020 has done a number on all of us. And if we've learned nothing, throughout this time else, I think is that we cannot and we should not. And I know me with my shoulds and cognitive distortions and all that, right? But we shouldn't put our stock into what we normally have been accustomed to, because what has 2020 been except uncertainty and like, what the heck is going on here? And yes, there has been lots and lots of beauty in it. There has been lots and lots of joy in it for sure, because we couldn't have survived if we didn't find those moments of beauty, if we didn't find those moments of joy, if we didn't look to see like, how am I going to get through the muck and the madness that this year has been? Because there has been lots of great, great things, right? But I found myself trying to do, like, essentially going insane, because I was trying to do the same thing the same way, expecting different results. And like, that's like probably not the, official definition or way of looking at insanity, but just doing it the same way. Trying the same thing over and over again. Like, why is this not working? But that's okay, right? Because we know that this time has declared out with the old, in with the new, do a new thing, try it a different way, new ways of thinking, new ways of being, new perspectives, new kinds of ways of living, all of those things, right? So trying something new, because the way we did it, right? All of the things that we've experienced has shown us that the way that we did it before wasn't working for us. All the unrest, all the madness. I call it madness because I don't have any other kind of word to kind of describe it. But all of that has shown us that we got to do something new, right? Even the stars, right? If you're into all that stuff, it's like we're aligning. And so you guys got to shift in the way that you need to shift, right? Trying something new. So as I mentioned in a previous podcast, it was my last podcast, but it was an older podcast. So go back and listen to that. It's me talking about faith. It's me talking about growing my faith and kind of like getting my dust back into a mustard seed. So we've transitioned from California. We live in Georgia now. And I'm just talking about in that episode how I'm transitioning to what I call, and it's not my own term, but what I call slow living, right? And so for me, that means releasing all of the old patterns, all of the old habits, all of the things that I used to do that I've been accustomed to that have threatened to kind of reemerge. But before we talk about the reemerging, right? So like me trying something new means me learning how to cook. I mean, I live in the South now, right? Like I should probably know how to do a little something. So that looks like me not being afraid to fail at cooking, because I don't cook because I'm like, well, I can't cook and I'm not going to make bad food, right? I feel like some people are just born with natural abilities, and I feel like cooking is one of those things, but I can't be afraid to try it even if it doesn't come out right the first time. And plus, it's just my family. Look, unless y'all want to cook, y'all gonna eat what I prepare. You're gonna be happy. You're gonna be full. You're gonna make it through, right? So doing that, trying to learn how to cook, trying to just slow down, because I'm obsessed with, detaching myself from my own sense of productivity, right? Like, what have you accomplished today, Tonisha? You can't be a bum today, Tonisha. Yes, you want to watch that movie, Tonisha, but you should be doing something else, Tonisha, right? So just releasing, which is very difficult, because I find that I walk around with my fists clenched a lot. So what does it look like, right? To open my hands, to be ready to receive all the beauty, all the newness, all the goodness that is life, even in the midst of what feels like a very devastating, very taking, right? Like I feel like 2020 has taken so much from me, but that's okay because that's what it was designed to do. That's the only way that I can reconcile. That's the only way that I'm going to get through these next 3 weeks, because it's like, really, 2020? What have you done and why are you doing it? And could you please stop? Right. So even in the midst of me feeling like it's taking, I have to then say, okay, well then what can I do? Right. What do I have control over to be able to not just survive, right, but to thrive even when things around me feel like they're going insane. We know that that's not true. We know that this is just a moment. We know that it will pass, but we still got to get through it, right? You still have to wake up every single day and be who you are and do what you need to do to get to where you need to go. So so trying something new is just about doing that, right? Transition to slow living, me sitting down, me not always being go, me not always hustling, me not always like, okay, what is time? Trying to reevaluate my notion of time and how much I can do in a day and all of those different things. But I found myself being, how do I describe it? Like I found myself falling back into patterns, right? Because we moved here so that for the express reason of no longer being a part of the ridiculousness that is like California living and like always like needing to, right, do. We moved here for the express reason of doing that. So then what does it look like for those things to fall into place, right? So that looks like me trying something new, but all of those old patterns, right, have threatened to kind of reemerge because it's easy to fall back into, especially given the time that we're in right now. It's so easy to fall back into that, into the woe is me, into the nothing's working out, right? When I actually believe that everything is working out for me, right? When in my heart, I feel like I believe that. I don't know if I always live that out, but one day at a time, it's all gonna, come back together. But this has been a process for me. And I know that I talked earlier in a couple podcasts, a couple seasons ago, about this book that I was reading. It's called Claim Your Power. And I was talking about he talks about, in the book about how, you have these survival patterns that you fall into. And that is what you essentially has carried you to the place that you are now until you have the revelation. And I found myself like falling back into those survival patterns, those old ways of thinking, those old ways of being, the ways of like expressing myself in a way that was not healthy. And because I felt like, well, crap is chaotic anyway, why do I need to maintain a semblance of anything? Like, what's the point? What honestly is the point of any of that? But that's not how it works, right? I can't fall back into that. And so what it means for me to try something new now then is to, one, be aware of the ways in which I'm thinking, the ways in which my life is manifesting itself, because, what I think is going to come out and then it's going to act out on that, etc. So it's like saying, you know what? This year may feel like it has been a wash. It hasn't. It is here to have taught you something, right? Whatever. Even if you only get one thing out of it, this year was here for that, right? So what can you take away? What can you glean? But also, what can you take into the next year that will help you to be a better person, that will help you to, grow and be strong and all of these different things. And if you are like me, you are so very much excited to see this year go as I was to see it begin. Because if you would have told me on January 15th that I would not have accomplished all those things that I wrote down in my journal. I was looking at that the other day, and I just started laughing. I laughed because I didn't want to cry, because I was just like, none of these things, none of them. I have done none of them. Maybe one or two. I did submit some pieces and stuff like that, but it was just like, okay, I have this written because I was preparing in 2019 for the beauty, right? For the abundance, for the whatever that I declared 2020 to be. And it just didn't turn out like that. Right? I look at that journal entry, I look at my intentions, and I still every month I declared some kind of intention, because I was like, I'm determined not to give up on this. I'm determined that this will be, because I didn't know, like January, February, March, I'm just going along, like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And at the end of the day, I was like, sit down somewhere. Think about the ways in which you've been carrying on, and how then can you, because I saw this post on the internet, and it was like, essentially it was like, I love us, because we think on January 1, 2021, like all of this stuff is going to be over, right? And we know that that's not going to happen, right? We know they still got to test everybody and all of the things that have to happen in relation to, the coronavirus, but also all the ways in which, like, we have to clean up after ourselves now, right? Like all the destruction, all the chaos, all the joy, right? We have to bring all of that into, it's not going to like flip, a switch is not going to flip and then everything's going to change in 2021, right? So what have we learned now? What lessons have we learned? What pieces of ourselves have we retained? What pieces of ourselves have we let go? What newness, right? Because essentially we're just shedding a skin. That is what I just came to this conclusion right now, right? This was just our snake skin year, right? Like, I don't know how snake skin works or like what happens after the snake shed the skin. So just go with me on the ridiculousness of this metaphor, because I don't know where I'm going with it. But like, we have shed a skin if the caveat here is that if you have allowed it, if you have sat with the toughness, if you have sat with what is hard and what is difficult and what is good, because I have a problem doing that, right? Like, things could be perfect around me and I'll find one little thing and be like, nah, this is a wash, right? And that my task then is not to do that, right? Don't do that, Tonisha. You cannot do that anymore. And that's one of the new things, right? Like, how can I look at this new, even if it's bad? How can I say it's this one thing is bad, but all of the other things around me are good, right? And that's how I know, in fact, right, everything is working out for my good. Like I said in my, faith episode, what is the evidence that I have that can tell me this actually is working out? But I was excited. I was excited when the year began, and then it trickled along, and then March 13th, D-Day, boom, done. Life as we knew it, right? But I don't despise the time that has happened, because even if each day felt like this is stupid, I am understanding it as we close out the year that it was working to increase my faith. I am understanding it as we close out the year that it has required me to branch out, reach out to people I wouldn't have typically reached out to get out of my comfort zone. Essentially, we always talk about the comfort zone and how you got to get out of it. And it's like, but I'm comfortable, right? Like, that's the whole point of the comfort zone, because it's like, I'm comfortable, duh. But this was like, even learning how to take meetings not learning how, but like getting accustomed to taking meetings virtually, right? Getting accustomed to my children being home every single moment of the day, right? Which means that things for me look a lot different. But how do I then exist in a reality under which I have no control, right? If we were still in California, we'd be locked down. Right here, out here, they a little more lenient, but we follow protocols. But that's not the point of any of this. Doing things a different way, seeing things in a different way, learning to embrace who I am. Because when you are stripped of the comforts, right? So even if you didn't want to get out of your comfort zone, this year said, boom, you getting out there because I don't like the way things are going for you. And you could have been perfectly fine with your life, right? But there's no denying that you have been affected by this in whatever way that has affected you. For me, it was just a matter of me learning to embrace my own enoughness, right? When you are stripped away from all the things that you expected for yourself, when you are stripped away from all the things that you have desired for yourself, when you have been told, not right now, give it a little bit more time. This is the question that I have been asking myself subliminally, and subconsciously, but sometimes actually, can you and are you and do you believe yourself to be enough? That's my question that I pose to you guys, right? Can you and are you and do you believe yourself to be enough? And if not, right, what is the new thing that you can do to start to believe that? Right. My thing was just sitting with myself because I'm always like, OK, no, if I have 5 minutes, I got to be writing because I said, right. Or like, OK, I got to be fixing dinner or I got to be right. And it's just like, no, just be still. Just be still. And I will tell you, I love being with myself. Like I have no problem being with myself, but I find that I'm always trying to occupy my time. Like I got to rereading a book, like how, again, the productivity thing, right? Much more productive can I be with the time that I have? But that wasn't my lesson. That wasn't my lesson. My lesson was just to embrace that as I am, as my body is, as my voice is, as my personality is, as my dreams are, as my hopes are, as the way my mind works, because my mind is a thing, okay? The way that it works, that has to be enough right now, right? So that my newness, the new ways of thinking and being and going and trudging along and, all the new ideas that are going to come forth, they have to come forth from an inward and a kind of internal sense of self-worth. And so that's what I got out of all of this, right? I literally just got it like on December 1st because it was just like me clenching to know like, no, but I wanted this, but I wanted this thing, but I wanted that to happen. But this was supposed to be the way that it was, right? But that's not how it played out. And so with everything stripped away, do I believe that I'm enough? With everything like on pause, because it's not over, right? Like it's not over. The world is going to open back up. The market is going to recover. Your kids are going to leave. They're going to get out. Trust me. Okay. If you are like, man, when are these kids leaving this house? One day they will, right? All of these things are going to happen. So you don't have to worry about that part. It's just that because things are on pause, how then are we dealing with ourselves? How are we interacting with ourselves? Do we like what we see when we look in the mirror? Like what I see when I'm looking at. Anyway, my husband says I can't sing, and I think that sucks, but whatever, that's a whole different story. But do we have that internal and inward and like, good feeling about ourselves? And I'm finding that I didn't always, But maybe around August, around my birthday, I was like, I'm literally not getting any younger. So may as well embrace who I am becoming. And that in itself is a new idea, right? Because I'm always like, well, these people have, and this person is better, and right. But it's just like, this is who I am, like I can think more positively. I can, all the things that I can change about myself that I kind of like have control over. But then it's like, at the end of the day, this is who I am. And so this has to be enough. It has to be okay. And I think once you get into your mid 30s, because even in my early 30s, I was still like searching. But mid 30s, I'm just like, listen, take it or leave it, because what? So all of that to say, the newness that's coming may feel foreign initially, but I do believe that it is not for naught. Can I say not for naught? Is that a double negative? Anyway, it's not for naught. It's not for, it wasn't a waste of time. And so what does newness then look like to you? Because I was all like, like I said, I'm, up until August, I'm like, dang, Tonisha, are you ever going to get it together? I thought you had progressed to a certain point. This is showing you that you actually haven't made any progress. But that's not true, right? That's what the tension comes to do. It just comes to shake. It's like any relationship, whether it's the relationship you have with yourself or an external party. Like I always say, my children check me about myself. It's like, you think you got your stuff together? Nah. Mom, let's challenge you on this and see if you actually have it together, right? And so that's all that this was. It was just to test your relationship with yourself, right? You had to reflect and look at yourself and say, yay or nay. And if the answer was nay, right, that's okay too, because it gave you time to get it to yay. And if the answer was yay, that's even better, because it's like, okay, so how can I make this fresh? Like me, I got a new scent, y'all. I just said, in 2020, I want to smell like something. And I know that seems simple and right, but I always walk past people and I'm just like, man, how do they manage to smell good all the time? I want that for myself. So it was simple as me just going to a department store and saying, let me try some different scents on and pick one that works for me. And I have a great girlfriend who, is like into that kind of stuff. So she's like, no, you got to make sure it fits with your personality and all of these different things. It took us quite a while. But at the end of the day, it was that little thing to boost how I felt about myself, not in relation to my children, not in relation to my husband, right? But in relation to me, in relation to who I felt like I needed to be. I wanted to be very, very simple, as I feel like I'm blossoming into a much better woman, right? And I feel like you really don't know. Like, I feel like, and obviously I can't speak for post the age that I am, but I know prior to the age that I am, I didn't feel like I could embody that and embrace that. So my challenge to you is just to, in your bread for today, your bread for this week, it's just to try something new. Maybe try something new at work. Try something new at home. Try something new outside. Maybe there's a hobby you've always wanted to pick up. Maybe there's a book you've always wanted to read. You never know what kinds of revelations. I get deep revelations from reading my books, okay? My novels and all that. And I read because I'm a writer. So, I have to see like different conventions. But maybe there's a book you've always wanted to read. Maybe there's a place you always wanted to go that is accessible to you right now. Or maybe you got to wait until the world opens back up, and that's okay too. But that doesn't mean that you can't plan for it now, right? So like I said, I'm trying to learn how to cook. I'm trying to get better at my baking, but I'm not trying to do it all at the same time. And that was where I was getting caught up because I was like, okay, I got to do this. I got to perfect that. I got to master this. And my son, unfortunately, he's like me. He's like, must master everything all at the same time, as opposed to just taking it one day at a time, as opposed to just doing the thing once, like focusing on this thing, just being present in the moment right now. And that is a challenge for all of us because we're being inundated with all the things you could do, all the things you could be. But 2020 has come to say, slow your roll. It's okay. What is time? It's not real. You have more of it. Even if you feel like you don't, or even if you don't, or even if this is the end for you, right? You have to know that you've accomplished what you were supposed to in the time that you were given. I am just a firm believer in that. And I don't say it, and I don't use it as a crutch either, right? It's like, I'm not going to do nothing because, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's just like, I'm not going to stress myself out over this because who really cares at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day. So I think that's all I got for you today, folks. If you're watching this is my lovely fireplace in my new home that I'm really excited about. Because, I was kind of hesitant to get a fireplace because kids, accidents, apocalyptic worldview that, what's the worst that can happen? They could just fall and bust their heads open, right? But even that... Because I was literally, when we were doing this house buying search, I'm like, no fireplaces because Amaris is going to crack her skull. But even in that, I was like, Tonisha, first of all, that's probably not going to happen. Secondly, you have to let go of your sense of what's the worst that can happen, because it's not. That you can't hold on to that, right? Because then you won't live. And all I want to do with the short time that we have on this earth is to really live and to thrive and to laugh and to smile and to, buy perfume. Okay. That is really all I got for you today, folks. I'm so excited that you have decided to join me on my new journey and to watch my videos. And I really, really appreciate all the love that you guys have shown us. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can listen to it on iTunes and Spotify and Google Podcasts and probably all the places that podcasts are listened to. I have a YouTube channel too, which will be in the show notes and below this video. And you can subscribe to that too if you're feeling feisty. All right. Again, I'm your host, Tonisha Russell. Your bread for today is just to try something new.
All my gas for tomorrow, that's where they gon' stay. I'm living in the moment, cause I got enough bread for today.